Yet another channel update, this time unforced by me, but due to the things that happened in Riot and in Legends of Runeterra, and to my 100 subscriber special. I first wanted to record just this special, but now I of course have to tell you what will happen to this channel. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we had these news on Tuesday or Monday that the expeditions is going to leave in patch 3.20. They're beginning to sunset expeditions by removing the weekly cap, and free play is no longer available. And with patch 3.8.0, the expeditions will be no longer accessible. So be sure to spend your expedition tokens before then. Main reason for that is that the player count was lower than we hoped for, and it competed with Power of Champions, so they basically want to make room with that. I don't want to go in depth about this change and about what I think about it, since we actually made one potentially last expeditions podcast about this change and about what this means and what the reasons are behind this, what we think what went wrong, and what we will be doing in the future. So check this one out. And yeah, of course, I am very sad Expeditions is leaving. I kind of was the Expeditions guy, the Expeditions person who made these in-depth videos about it and put a lot of time into it, made a whole series about learning to draft. And unfortunately, that was not a waste of time, of course, but not very well invested, because Expeditions will not be an ongoing format. I kind of was thinking it would be a maintenance mode. So if you just put out your videos once and they never change the buckets, this will be worthwhile for the next 1 or 2 years. However, I don't regret doing this. I learned a ton and was having a lot of fun. Now, of course, I don't want to just quit here, otherwise I wouldn't be making a channel update video anymore. But it's a big question where to go from here. And in my opinion, there's 5 different options. The first one would just be switching over to educational content for Path of Champions. Now, I've looked up how many people actually stream Path of Champions, and I've found like one guide per release, but not really anybody going in depth about decision making and just explaining exactly what they're going to do during the runs. A big problem with this is that this kind of content is kind of useless, because the mode gets easier the more you fail. If you constantly lose to Gangplank, you just get stronger and stronger and stronger until you eventually are going to beat Gangplank, which I think is a little bit wrong way around, because you just you want the mode to get harder, not easier when the time goes on. And I don't know if this would have any views or anything like going for it. I know that there are many people that are actually struggling at Path of Champions. Like if you are a professional expeditions player, you're probably not having that much trouble, or like a Masters Constructed player. But I've seen people who say they fail at the first Fair Blade Twirler over and over. They don't know what to do against it. I've seen people not be able to beat the first Jinx run if they're new players. And I think there's definitely people who would watch this content, maybe not the same kind of people who watch me now, but it's always worth a try. The next one would be in-depth constructed games. I've been playing constructed a lot lately, since, to be honest, I didn't find expeditions that fun anymore without any changes. And when I play on my own, like, of course, I'm a very high-level expedition player, so it kind of felt like playing versus bots anyways. Instead, I just wanted to improve and climbed to masters, competed in the seasonals. And Legends of Runeterra is an awesome game, and you can learn a lot just by watching good players and having these in-depth analysis. I wouldn't just want to make like constructed gameplay videos that seems kind of boring, and instead would maybe do like a post-game analysis of awesome games, of interesting plays, and try to really be educational about it. I couldn't do that yet because I had limited time to record. I wanted to bring this out today, this announcement. So I've recorded one option for each of these different 5 things I will show you. And for constructed, I didn't have time or a like full in-depth edited video. That's just to call it some constructed games. And of course, it's also in a new season, so you have to see what settles and what stays around. And the third option would be Path of Champion speedruns. And I've looked up the speedrun leaderboard, and there are only like 60 people doing speedruns for Path of Champions. And I can understand why. I tried it myself. I don't have any champions on level 22, where you have like the expected way to go about it. Just tried it with a Twisted Fate level 20, and it just feels very clunky and basically is a menu clicking simulator. Feels like I've played other games like Super Meat Boy before, or Slay the Spire, who have like real speedruns and who really feel good to speedrun. In Path of Champions, it comes down a lot to who clicks where, at what time, and which menu do I have to click. And yeah, of course, like the people who do this, I don't want to like say anything against them, but I didn't have much fun. I will still upload the run I did, speedrun. I tried to just run through Lulu and Gangplank as fast as possible. It still took me like 45 minutes because it's like Twisted Fate is not the speedrun champion. You should like go Pike or Zed or something and just kill everybody turn one. But Twisted Fate is one I liked, and nobody did that before. So I wanted to try, but it wasn't that fun. Like you just randomly get disconnected or something and then just waste or like lose 10 seconds on your clock. Your lurk trigger is delayed by 5 seconds because some in-game thing is not working correctly. And there's just a ton of animations, ton of menus to click through. And I don't know, it's just not as fun. And clearly, Legends of Terror has not been built for speedruns. It has been built for more like a slower experience and thinking, not for just clicking through it. So this is an option, but probably the one I liked the least from trying is at least. Then we have the champ roll thing. So if I don't want to do these in-depth meta constructed games, which might not be interesting for everyone, then we could just roll 2 champions together and draft a fun deck and try to compete with it in this way. So this is what I did with Lana before, and I think this is the closest one to Expeditions. Where you just get your 2 random champions and try to build a deck around them, a little bit synergistic. However, I don't know, like there's many people out there who already do like these constructed non-meta decks and try to do some fun stuff with them. And honestly, if you do some quote-unquote fun stuff, you're just not very competitive with it, and then you just lose a lot. And I don't want to be like these big streamers who are like, oh my god, Yasuo, Nautilus, the next meta, and bring this to seasonals. Because if I play fun decks and random decks, of course they are going to be non-competitive and not very strong in comparison to the meta decks. It could still be something I could try out and enjoy, but probably not regularly. The last option is, of course, to switch over to MTG Arena and do drafts there. I've also recorded a draft over there, and to be honest, it's a little bit frustrating. I personally see MTG Arena as an inferior version of Legends of Runeterra, and if you saw my games reviewed episode, basically I think that MTG Arena comes down to variance a lot. There's some games you just can't do anything, can't cast any of your spells, and other games you just win because the opponent can't do that, and that doesn't feel very enticing to me or entertaining to me. I would like to stick to Legends of Runeterra, but I just don't know exactly what my home would be. And I've recorded a educational Path of Champions video where I beat Karma with a level 5 Lee Sin. Then it gets kind of close versus Ezreal, so I don't want to spoil it. This was the one I had the most fun with. I've recorded some constructed games. Of course, this would be more in-depth as an analysis if you actually stick with constructed. There wasn't really much to analyze yet. The last few days of the season, everybody just was playing mean decks, and we'll still upload this few constructed games. Maybe you are more interested in that. I think a lot of people already do like just constructed gameplay, and like one Path of Champions speedrun that left me really frustrated just by having to wait around. Like if you play a speedrun, you want to constantly do things. You don't just want to click and wait and click and wait, click and wait. Probably not my type of thing, but I'm still going to have a video here if you enjoy it. Didn't like make a temporary video yet because everybody can imagine what it is, just playing with random champions. and MTG Arena is also going to be recorded. Expeditions doesn't leave immediately, and before I just thought I would just stop Expedition content altogether, just move on immediately, and I don't think that's yesterday I recorded this podcast and I saw all the new cards and new archetypes. So I probably will continue doing a little bit more expedition content, maybe less in depth and less focused with the spreadsheet and stuff like that. Just more like don't want to put that much time into educational content that's not actually educational to everybody or to anybody if the mode leaves. So I probably will just tune it a little bit down, but I plan to still release expedition videos until expedition actually leaves. And after expedition leaves, these are the options we have. If you have another option, I don't want to switch to any like super small game because that doesn't seem like very much fun. I don't like playing games with like 20 or 200 or 300 players. I don't really like playing or streaming other games like League of Legends or StarCraft because like it's just a completely different genre and probably wouldn't have the same audience as you right now. And I kind of want to just find out from you, from the viewers, what would you be interested in from these different options? Are you more of a player who wants to see crazy plays and random decks with Power of Champions? Are you the analytic player who wants to have in-depth analysis of high-level games? Do you just want to see random battles? Or do you really want to witness limited experiences and just care about limited and none of the other game modes anymore with MTG Arena? For the next few weeks, I'm probably going to just mix it up a little bit, upload different videos, and just see what does well, what doesn't do well. I don't really care about this channel progressing, but like or being very, very big, something like that. It's not going to be my living or anything, but I still want to do content that people actually watch and are interested in. I don't just want to put out videos for 1 or 2 viewers, and like we'll try it, what will be successful or what works out, and if nothing works out well, then switch to other things. But this is just for fun, and my main purpose was to help expeditions grow, maybe save the format. But that's kind of my life story, that you can't save everything, and much as you put effort into it, you're just one person and can't change how the world works in total. So yeah, I don't just want to give up on this making content and streaming because it's like been fun to me, and I want to continue stuff that's fun to me. And currently that's going to be Path of Champions mostly because it feels like it doesn't, of course, not the same. But if you're at a very high level, it just felt oftentimes that you're playing versus bots, you play against weaker players and do obvious mistakes. I also want to do like these constructed games, want to compete in seasonals again, and we'll do videos about that. The other 3 options are like more of a side note. If you write down everybody is going to switch to MTG Arena and nobody cares about Legends of Terra anymore, then I will upload Arena content for those of you as well. But I don't really know. Like the most fun I've had recently with Legends of Terra was just Power of Champions, because you can do many crazy things. You can actually, like, what I like about the games is analyzing, like, thinking about how good a card is. And with Power of Champions, with the item system, you have to actually consider and think about, is this card with +1/+1 way better? How good is a 7 mana heal 7? And yeah, like, of course, it's different because you don't play against real players and because it's just too easy in general. But it's been fun to play Path of Champions. I wish you could actually reset your levels to make actual educational content. For those stuck in the lower levels, I've met people who can't beat Gangplank at level 15. So I would like to be able to reset matchings to level 1 and then play up again through Lulu, for example, and showcase what kind of things you have at which level. Currently, you have to make a new account each time. And yeah, I don't think these level 22 speedruns are very interesting to watch. You just like click through the game and hope you are faster than everybody else. And that might be fun, but like I tried watching this and it's just like the games don't really matter. It's just about the menu clicking. That's the most time you will going to get. Okay, so much for the channel update. For my Learning to Play series, I'm going to pause it a little bit, maybe make it more of a monthly thing right now, because honestly, I'm a little bit frustrated about the whole development. Of course, I put a lot of effort into expeditions, into making all these guides, videos, and then the format just gets shut down, and I don't want to invest a lot of time into the normal game mode, into constructed, and then have constructed maybe leave as well in the future. Still seems unlikely, but you never know what will happen. Maybe they'll make it a full Power of Champions game. And so if you're a fan of the Learn to Play series, it's going to still continue, but a little bit slower. I don't quite feel right now like wanting to invest 20 hours a week into the game. 20 hours a month is probably easier to do. And yeah, we'll continue doing this educational content, either Power of Champions or Constructed or both. And then these other formats are also an option. Now, for the second part of the video, I promised you a 100 subscriber special, and I got 100 subscribers. So I will just talk a little bit about myself and about my experience of gaming, who I am, what I do, and let's switch right over. Okay. Okay, so in this part, I just want to tell a little bit about myself, how I came to card games, and this was what I had planned for a 100 episode special. I first wanted to go in, just trying if anybody wants to watch this content at all, if there's a niche for it, or talking about myself a lot and other stuff. I'm 25 years old and I have studied law, so I'm really interested in logic, and card game logic, and that means I like analyzing games and getting good at games and getting good at things in general. I started very early with chess and actually have played chess since I'm 4 years old, and personally am collecting chessboards. For example, here we have a chessboard from Greece, and I've been going, for each country I visited, I collected these funny chessboards. I have also these pieces in it. They look like Greece people, and not like ancient Greece, of course. And Star Wars or Lego Star Wars chess game. And in total, I have 27 chess games or something, or maybe place event. The most beautiful one probably is this one with the malachite, it's called, I think, and quartz figures, pieces. This one's very, very cool. Not really something to play with that often because it can just break, it's more decorative. And yeah, chess has been a big part of my life. Learned it very early and then went to a chess club later on and just played this game. My goal was always to be like a regional champion or something like that. This is a game out of Poland, so also a very nice one. Got this as a present, and just an amazing game. This is what I use when I just play with guests or something like that. This is really my most beautiful game that's actually can be played with. So yeah, chess is something I really pursue. I also have am I in the leadership of a small chess club, or not a really small chess club in Germany. So that's very. I've just played chess for multiple years now, of course. Just from the start of my life, then I joined the chess club around age of 10 or 11. Then for the last 15 years, I played chess and have 1,900 elo. A little bit more online, but I don't know. I find the problem with chess is it's all predictable. So you can, if you have your first few moves, basically have to just memorize more moves to get better and learn these openings, learn the strategy. And you can't really do that much with basic strategy. You have to start learning moves and consistent moves when you really want to get better and go to the higher levels like 2000, 2200, 2300. And I've never felt the inner fire to really be a chess professional. Games just take a little bit long, like you play 6 hours normally in a competitive chess game, or you can also play faster modes. But I like chess, and it's still my game I played the most. But personally, I like having a little bit of variance in my games, not be every game be the same. It's not every time the same, but it boils down to the same basic principles. Put your pieces out, hack, and move forward. So, yeah, that's what moved me to card games. And I started playing card games when I was 5. I skipped the first grade because my grandmother taught me how to read when I was in kindergarten. And then I started seeing these Pokemon cards, and I actually still have my first Pokemon card. It's this Abra, and it's really like roughed up now, but I kept it around. I really liked the picture of it, like when I was a child, just sitting around and relaxing under a tree. And we didn't really know how to play the game back then with of course like kindergarteners or school children, and we thought you had to like disattach this energy each time to actually play the game. So like if you look at the newer card, they have like these 3 energies, and you put those energies to the side of it, and we thought you should always have to use it up to attack. So in our schoolyard meta, these units with like 3 attack could only attack like once a turn, and we also didn't know what the paralysis means. So with this guy, you flip a coin, and if you win the flip, it gets paralyzed. And we thought this paralysis would be going on forever. So this was the ultimate glass cannon, just 30 life, but with just for 1 energy that got discarded in our games. Attack and attack again. It was really overpowered. It's funny to think about it, that one of these completely useless and weak cards was very, very strong just because we played the game wrong. And I don't know how I got this card. I have like a Japanese rainbow holo energy that's like really destroyed. And like maybe it's Chinese, I have no idea. This was our trump card. This was the card I always, if we had this card, we didn't know what the energy did, but it was so shiny. And we said, this energy is the card you don't have to discard to use your attacks. So really overpowered. That's why it looks the way it looks, completely destroyed. I went back to Pokemon a little bit, and it's fun. You just go for these cool combo turns, and it's basically always comes down to 2 or 3 turns, with just full combos. If you're like a fan of Vintage Cube, for example, or Magic, then Pokemon would also be the game for you. It's a little bit one-sided oftentimes, but yeah. Then later on, I started watching the Yu-Gi-Oh show, of course, and got into Yu-Gi-Oh with actually like just collecting the cards. Didn't really know what all the cards did yet. And then I actually participated in, like, as a child, there was a world championship in Berlin, and I wanted to go there. And I actually opened up the Judgment Dragon in a booster pack. We had like a small shop, and they had like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I wanted to get rid of them. And they sold these booster packs for $2 each. And I just bought all of them. And as a child, saved up like my $30 of money and opened up this crack Judgment Dragon. I was like, I have to play this. I have to go to the World Championship and play on these side tournaments. And this was a lot of fun. I still have like the collectible card, the championship card, the Chimera Master of Beasts. Was not playable in any actual formats. And I also have kept around my deck. So this one is my deck I brought. Has like these funny sleeves with the guy fishing. I did actually beat up some people on this tournament because they tried to cheat me. I was like a child, and they were like, "Oh, this works differently." But I have read all the rules and knew exactly how this works. And actually, I wished for like the Judgment and the Mirror Force and these fancy cards before to actually have a chance and semi-compete. I also brought I brought 2 decks, and this was a lot of fun. And yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was always like when, because we didn't try to figure out how Pokemon works, and wasn't that much fun because we just discarded all of the cards each time. We then moved on to Yu-Gi-Oh, which was a little bit easy to understand. And I still have all my shiny Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I don't know if they're like worth anything. I bother to check. If like here a Dark Magician and just some random cards. Die Schweigsamer Magier. I found these level up cards so cool, like as a child. And Harpy and Flederwisch. Dark Mage guy. And a bunch of random cards basically. 1000 Messer. And yeah, just a pile of random cards. And I didn't really revisit Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched some videos about it recently. That it's just said it's a full combo deck now, and doesn't really have that much to do with, like, you just have the full combo and disrupt your opponent, which is oftentimes what happens if a game goes for too long. It just boils down to 1 or 2 turns of actual combo play and not that much else. And then I took a break from the card games in general, from chess in general, just pursued my real life, my studies. And at some point I saw in a store that they had a Magic booster pack. And we also didn't know how Magic works. We played Magic as children the same way we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Where we just like attack with each separate creature, and had no real idea how this actually worked, that you can attack with all and then block. That was not how we played it last, and then we started. And then I just went over to Magic and played a bunch of games there, and started out with just like limited Battle for Zendikar. I had collected cards before because I really liked the Mirrodin story. I have like all of the Mirrodin cards, and yeah, then I just started getting more into Commander. I had like one competitive game or one competitive deck that was like Tron back in the day, Whatnot Seer and Batterskull. And then my go-to with like Tron lands and Platinum Angel. Wasn't very good, like mono blue Tron, but I went to mono tournament and did like 50% wins with it. I'm happy about that. And then later on, I just started about building around my commanders. Probably if you watched my Magic video, my game review video, you saw my commanders before. And yeah, I then just started going to pre-releases a lot, trading a lot, and that's why I have so many expensive cards, quote unquote. For example, I had someone have a Caracas, and they traded I opened the Caracas in Modern Horizons, and somebody wanted to have this Caracas, and they traded me this Serra Sanctum for it. Now Caracas is like not worth very much, but Serra Sanctum is insanely valuable, if I remember correctly. I also got this Ancient Tomb back in the day, like the prismatic one. I with for just like 50 euros or something, and Grim Monolith for 30. And now all of these cards are like, this is like 300, this is like 400, and it's really crazy. Like, you can't really get into the format anymore. I really like how the cards look, just having this in my hand. And like, I had one Modern Horizon back, or Eternal Masters is this, I think. I opened Chase and the Mana Crypt and basically everything. And also I didn't really buy that many cards. I also opened the Snapcaster Imagine Draft once. And main card I bought was like Khan, because I really like Phyrexia and the lore behind him. And Blightsteel Colossus, of course. And also opened a Prismatic Blood Moon, or like not Prismatic, like Full Image Blood Moon. I have like a decent collection, but wouldn't really want to compete in a competitive event. Didn't, because of the, of course, ongoing pandemic, didn't go to many Commander games or any Commander games in the last 2 years. And that's kind of what switched me over to Legends of Runeterra. And just the champion system of champions transforming and having different cards attached to each other was what really got me into it. And at first I didn't like the art style when it first came out. I looked at some videos and they had like this big sword and big shield around. Didn't really find that interesting, but then when MTG China kind of started running out and they made some questionable decisions with their economy, I switched over to Legends of Runeterra, and especially to Expeditions, had a lot of fun in it. And yeah, later found out, like, I always analyzed these buckets, and then I got a message from the PedoJ on one of my Reddit posts, and he was like, hey, we have this Expeditions Discord, Then I joined the Expedition Discord and actually met a lot of friends there. So like Ethereal Wonder, for example. And like they were also hit by the pandemic and couldn't go outside. So I decided to just start streaming some games, hanging out with them, and making the day better in that way. And yeah, then it kind of stopped a little bit with the streaming. But then my other friend, Shades Realm, said he misses Expeditions content. Nobody's making Expeditions content. And I was like, sure, let's upload some videos. 1 video a week doesn't hurt. And yeah, I noticed myself that Expeditions was a little bit on a downwards path, but I was still hopeful. I still thought like if we build up a community and we're active and put up videos and just provide more content to the game mode, it would recover and people would come back to it, and maybe if Riot does like a big update to it, it will be successful. That was like the main purpose of these videos and of my channel. And I wouldn't say it didn't work out, because I still learned a lot, especially for content creation purposes, and had a lot of fun just competing in general. And I recently have started getting more into constructed with like these spreadsheets and tier lists. Like this is the one I used with the seasonals. For example, in preparation for the seasonals, I wrote down deck lists of all the decks that were in the top masters, Poros, Lulu. Basically, that's 45 deck lists. And I looked at all of them, thought about how I mulligan against these deck lists, and I think this is one of the reasons why I went with 7-2, because of this intensive preparation. So I have a lot of constructed knowledge as well, and it's actually more fun. As you see, there are 45 decks viable in the last meta. You could technically bring to seasonals, like more or less viable, but still an option. So it's a really diverse format, and I enjoy playing constructed. Fortunately, there's not really that much reason to play constructed after masters. So usually just 100 games for me, or 50 to 100 games. When you're masters, then you have no reason to play anymore. And later you go, the more easy it gets to go masters. So if you're like the last week, it's really easy to go masters. So you can just like climb with a self-built burn deck. And yeah, I still like constructed. I would still wish it would have a bigger competitive scene. Exactly. So this is like my card game and gaming history, and talking about what I will do in the future with this channel. Maybe some more things about my other hobbies. I always loved, as I was a child, I started reading these Donald Duck comics. This is what I actually taught me reading the most. Just having these images, and I consumed those so much. When I was 5 and 6, I just read through hundreds to thousands of these tiny books. And similarly, Garfield, that's how I learned English, just these English Garfield comics. Easy enough to understand what Garfield is doing, then you can just kind of figure out what these different words mean. And also Calvin and Hobbes, so I was always a big fan of comics in general. And yeah, I had like the same Calvin and Hobbes book in German and in English, so also helped me learn English faster. And yeah, I still like comics, and for example, the new Ash. This was one of a very good, can be recommended, having this comic around Ash. If you like the Freljord, if you like the lore in general, I enjoyed it. One problem with the League of Legends franchise in general is that they can't like have their champions die. They always have to have open-ended endings. But with that in mind, that's definitely a good one. Also have like actual books like the Moons of Mirrodin. This is like the magic story of Mirrodin, of all of 3 of those books. And another series I really like and have like all of the books in, it's Tokyo Ghoul. Just a very amazing series as well. And yeah, really, really good. Couldn't have brought the last chapter. And recommend you this, especially if you're like fans of Attack on Titan. Maybe many people have watched Attack on Titan, and Tokyo Ghoul has a very bad anime, because they tried to have 32 books in 40 episodes, which is not really possible. But the manga is really good, and I can really recommend to anybody checking this out. Otherwise, I work as a lawyer, not quite as a lawyer yet, but finishing my studies right now. Like I've got the first part down. I have to finish the second part, and yeah, because of that, I didn't want to show up with a face camera yet. I'm fine with people knowing who I am, but I just want to do content for fun and as a hobby. I don't want to risk any career chances or something like that. I don't think was very realistic, but I've always been a very careful person in my life. And yeah, I don't think anybody would actually care if I made these videos, as long as I do my other work well. But I still if I want to work as a judge at some point, not as a magic judge, but as a real life judge, because I really like rules and I really like explaining rules and solving rule questions, and basically law is a big rule book for life. I didn't actually want to study law back when I started. I wanted to study psychology, but then made a mistake in a form, and I clicked the wrong button, and then I wasn't actually signed in for psychology, and then had to find something that didn't have a numerus clausus, it's called in Germany. So I just started law for 1 semester and just stick with it because I liked it. And yeah, I'm very happy for what I've come with. My other hobbies include origami, and I have this is the dragon. I forgot this name, but this is a very famous big dragon that it's all one piece of paper. I also have this beetle, and I also really like doing small origami. Give me 1 second. So I think he's called Satoshi Kamiya or something. Look him up. If you Google Ancient Dragon, you find his models, and this is like a Pegasus out of the Ferrero Rocher paper, and I don't know how well you can see it. This is highly detailed and a very hard model, and actually only succeeded in folding this once, because it's actually pretty hard, pretty difficult to fold that small with such a paper that breaks so easily. But origami and having paper in my hand always was a big part. I also started folding paper cranes, and this is my collection of miniature paper cranes. So you see this, let's take one out. Yeah, you go. This is like my mini paper crane. And yeah, those are around 4,000 to 5,000 of these miniature cranes. I always folded them in school. I recently stopped a little bit because I'm not in school anymore. I actually have to do work now, not just sit around and wait for the class to end. But yeah, it's a very fun thing, and origami has always also been very fun to me. I didn't really design any of my own models. I liked following the instructions and building them. Same with the child, I always built the Lego figures but never played with them. And it's way cheaper than Lego. Just take a piece of paper and fold it. And yeah, really fun activity. I also like languages. I speak 4 languages semi-fluently. So I speak German and English and learned French in school, and I actually learned Arabic during university. So this is some Arabic pieces or stuff I have written, and yeah, it's a beautiful language, and I use this to help refugees and made a lot of friends, a lot of refugees in Germany back in the day, and Arabic was a very helpful language for that. And that also brought me to doing magic tricks. And one Arabic girl I was helping requested a magic trick or a magic show, because she was a big fan of Detective Conan and of magic in general. I decided to learn a little bit of magic because I like doing these card tricks anyways. And yeah, it's since then also been a big part of my life, of my hobbies. Just performing in schools, for example. And having like this single card being green, and the next case, a very simple trick, the next card is also only green, and afterwards you have the heart, and once again you have the only card that is different is the heart, and in the ace of diamond, once again, only card to be different is the ace of diamond. And that's a really cool trick. If you can do it in school, you can show them like every card is green, and the next moment every card is red, and then you show them a single card. For example, this heart is in the first moment it's green, and in the next moment it's red. So in the end, you ask them what do they prefer, red or green, and they say red, you say the opposite, and you show them that the cards are half red and half green. So kind of what I'm doing anyways with shuffling cards and playing with cards, and what I enjoy. So that's another big hobby of mine. And yeah, that's a little bit of an introduction about me, who I am, what I do. And yeah, we will see how the future unfolds. Tell me in the comments what you think about my upcoming content. And before we leave, I want to say thank you so much for watching, for sticking around with me for this long. I would have never expected to get to 100 subscribers. I was like, Expeditions is a small format anyways, and I thought it would stick around for like 20, 30 subscribers, make it like 5 uploads or something. But reaching 100 and reaching around 50 uploads or 50 views per video is really great, especially without a camera. I know that it would be way more successful with a camera, but that's just not something I want to be doing right now. Maybe in the future, if I actually start working as a charge and still have time, and then this could be an option. If there's still Legend of Terror around in a few years, but we will see. Right now, this is what I can put out. And if you just came in here for Expeditions, for improving Expeditions, and move on to other games or don't play Legend of Terror anymore, then I understand you, and I will want to still thank you for joining me on this journey. It was a really awesome experience. And if you are sticking around, tell me what you want to see, what is the most interesting. I've linked all 4 videos they should be showing up right now, and you can decide for yourself what would be the most interesting and what you would prefer watching or seeing from me in the future. I'm currently just going to stick to the expedition runs and then some random runs in between, like Power of Champions, until the expedition actually leaves, and will be postponing my education content a little bit because it's just a lot of effort to work and I don't feel like it right now. Our Expeditions Discord will just be a general card game Discord. So you can still check it out, can still join and talk about any card game, whether you switch to Magic Arena, Hearthstone, whatever. And yeah, this will be it for this video. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something like about me in the styles, but like, and tell me what you will do in the future, if you will still play Legend of Terror, if you go to Magic, if you go to Hearthstone. Really interested in what you yourself are going to be doing as our Expeditions community. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video, hopefully.